Welcome to Sports Injury Podcast, episode 16. My name is Josh Ryder. Today we're going to talk about DeMarcus Cousins, the basketball player for the Golden State Warriors, and his recent injury. He was diagnosed with a torn left quad following an injury during a game on April 15th of 2019. Keep in mind his injury history. He had a left Achilles tendon tear in January of 2018 and subsequent repair of that left Achilles tendon also in January of 2018. I would recommend going back and watching the videos of those injuries. I'll have links in the description box to those. What was interesting to me watching both of those videos was that both of them involved an eccentric loading. The quad injury involved deceleration and eccentric loading of the quad muscle. The Achilles tendon injury involved a single leg landing and subsequent loading to the calf and Achilles tendon eccentrically. I'm gonna put on screen a good journal article from the JOSPT journal about eccentric muscle contraction. So you have the journal reference there, and one of the interesting things brought up in the journal article was that with eccentric injury, you can have injury to the muscle, the associated tendon, or the bony attachment where that tendon comes in. Another thing that was good in the journal article was the reminder that the eccentric phase of muscle contraction is key in the stretch shortening cycle. So I started thinking about if I were working with Cousins, what kind of exercises would I do with him, and I put together this little chart which I'll put on the screen right now. Cousins' injuries occurred either unilaterally or asymmetrically. So I think this is how I would train him. So let's start with the quad. So if I were putting together his program, we'd start with that eccentric strength foundation. So definitely the lateral step down exercise is my go-to. There's also other exercises like the single leg squat that could also be used there. Then we progress to our upper tier exercises. So we got eccentric power exercises. So for the quad, I would do a deceleration drill, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. And plyometric exercises, I would utilize plyometric lunge jumps and skips for height. Now let's walk through the same progression for an Achilles tendon. So eccentric strength exercises, I would go to a single leg heel raise and monitor for eccentric control there. I would also add a single leg toe raise exercise to complement that. Then we progress to our upper tier. So eccentric power exercises, I would utilize some hop downs from a step onto an AirX going from 2 feet to 1 foot. And for plyometric exercises, there's two I like here. First of all, the single leg jump rope is good. Obviously, you want to be able to make sure that the athlete is good on 2 feet before progressing to the single leg. And the other plyometric activity that I like would be single leg hops in the agility ladder. I'm preferential to an out diagonal in pattern to challenge the athlete. But what stood out to me in looking at all this was that these were non-contact injuries that probably could have been avoided with proper training and preparation. Eventually, I'll probably have to put together a detailed, lengthier video on the deceleration drill and how to teach the whole progression. But just to give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about, the idea is that when you're running, you can decelerate to a full stop, opposite arm, opposite leg position. So if you're running, you'd be coming to that type of position. The other exercise that I'll briefly go over is that 2-to-1 hop down onto the AirX pad. Most of the other exercises that I cited are pretty common and you should be familiar with.